Welcome to Money Muscle Mindset, the podcast designed to motivate and educate you on your journey to financial and fitness success and to develop the mentality needed to achieve your goals. I'm Zay Molina, and in this episode, we're going to talk about how to stay hungry even after winning. So many times on this podcast, we've talked about, how can we achieve our goals, right? How to develop the discipline and consistency to get to that goal, right? How can we fight the setbacks and be able to push forward so we can continue to grind and continue to go after that success that we want, right? But what happens when we actually hit a goal? What happens when we actually succeed and we make it to where we want to be, right? What do we do next? Right? I bet a lot of people, once they hit that goal, they'll say, I'll be fine. I'll stop working hard. I'll stop doing this. And maybe you do. Maybe you get there and you're like, you know what? This is great. Now I'm going to stop. Right? But is that really where you want to be? Right? Do you really want to just get comfortable at that point? Or do you want to push yourself to the next level, right? Do you want to continue to stay hungry? Do you want to continue to grind and go after the next goal, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about, that even after achieving success, that doesn't mean you need to stop, right? Now it's time to find a new focus, a new goal to go after to continue to push yourself to the next level. So without further ado, let's dive in. So let's first talk about what it means to be hungry, right? Hungry means you're ambitious, right? You are dedicated to achieving this goal. You're in desperation mode. You're going to do whatever it takes to achieve whatever success that you want, right? When you're hungry, think about it literally. When you're actually hungry and you're starving, right? You want to do whatever it takes to eat, to get some food in your system, right? But let's talk about now the other side, when you're not hungry, right? When you're full, when you're comfortable, right? When you're full and you just finished eating, what happens, right? You don't want to take another bite of anything, right? You want to go ahead and start moving along and just maybe sit back and relax, but you're not looking at food, right? You are comfortable. You're trying to just take it easy now, right? And that same thing kind of happens when our goals, right? When we achieve a goal, right? When we achieve some kind of success, sometimes we get comfortable, right? And we say, okay, you know what? I made it. This is where I want to stop, right? And sometimes that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But other times, we can always improve and continue to get better over and over. It's like that quote that I mentioned on this podcast before that I like to tell myself. I'm confident enough to know I can do anything, but I'm humble enough to know that I can always get better. Right. And that is the idea, guys, is that even though we achieve a goal, even though we achieve success, right, we can always get better. We can always improve and head to the next level. And so we got to stay hungry to continue to push ourselves to improve again. Think about it this way. Think about your favorite sports team, whether it's football, basketball, soccer, whatever it may be, right? Think about your team. And let's say they just won the championship. This year, they went out, they won in the playoffs, made it to the finals, they won, they're holding up the trophy. You bought a t-shirt that says champions on it, right? And they just won and you feel great, your team just won, right? Now, from a fan's perspective, how would you feel if next year they said, you know what, we already did it, we don't need to win again this year? Right? You're going to feel bad, right? You're going to be like, what is going on? No, you just won. Why not make it 2 in a row? Why not make it 3 in a row, right? Build a dynasty, right? Go after all these records, right? Why are you just going to sit back and say, okay, you just won last year, so now I don't need to win next year, right? And that's the idea, guys. If your favorite team is going to say, hey, we just won this championship, let's run it back, right? Let's go for back-to-back champions. Let's go for 3 in a row, 4 in a row, right? Why can't you do the same with your goals? Just because your favorite team just won a championship doesn't mean they're not going to try again next year to win 2 in a row. So when you achieve success and you hit your goals, that doesn't mean you just stop there, right? You got to push yourself to go after the next goal, to get to the next level, to improve and continue to grow on your journey. Again, it comes back to that growth mindset versus that fixed mindset, right? When you're desperate and you're hungry and you're pushing yourself, right? You're in that growth mindset. You're open to pushing yourself, to learning new experiences that are going to help you achieve that goal. But when you do achieve that goal, right, you don't want to switch from that growth mindset to a fixed mindset and say, okay, you know what? I'm happy where I'm at. I don't need to move forward anymore, right? You want to continue to be open-minded. You want to continue to have that growth mindset to continue to push yourself again to the next level. So once you've hit your goal, right, whatever it may be, whether it's financial, fitness, whatever, right, you hit your goal, right? The idea is, how can we raise the bar, right? How can we go after a new goal, bigger and better goal, right? How can we continue to improve? For example, let's say your goal was financial. Let's say you were barely making it by, paycheck to paycheck is how you were living, right? But you set a goal to say, you know what, I want to start making $5,000 a month, right? That's going to help me pay all my expenses, start saving a lot of money, start investing some money, and, be able to go on vacations, whatever it may be, right? And you finally hit that goal. If you're making $5,000 a month with your new job, your side hustle, all this kind of stuff, right? And so when that happens, right, now do you stay and say, okay, I made $5,000 a month. I'm complacent. I'm fine. You know what? I'm not going to move forward anymore, right? Or do you say, you know what? I can push myself even further. I can give my family even better life. We can go on better vacations. We can invest more money, save more money, right? All this kind of stuff, right? And now instead of just $5,000 a month, why can't I make $10,000 a month? Why can't I make $20,000 a month, $100,000 a month, right? Why not shoot for higher goals, higher standards, right? So instead of looking at each goal as the end game, as the end result, right? Why not look at each goal as a checkpoint, right? Kind of going after, just like in a video game, right? Each time you hit a new checkpoint, right? It's not like you quit the game and just stop, right? That checkpoint is there because, okay, now I hit this point, now I can go for the next one, right? And then I can go to the next one, right? But I understand that I've reached these little checkpoints rather than looking at them as end game or end results. Same thing when it comes to fitness, right? Maybe you're a little bit overweight, right? And your goal was to lose 25 pounds in the next 6 months, right? And 6 months pass by and you've lost 30 pounds, right? So you've hit your goal, you've made it, you've achieved this, right? Do you just stop there? Or do you say, you know what? I can afford to lose 20 to 30 more pounds, right? I'm going to push myself to continue to keep going, right? And the good thing is now you have momentum, right? You've already achieved success, right? Now you can push yourself to continue to keep going. You've already done so much to get where you are, right? Build off that momentum, continue to use it to continue to grow and reach new levels. You can always make more money. You can always lose more weight. You can always put on more muscle, right? You can always improve. And that is the idea, guys. Don't get comfortable. Continue to push yourselves. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm telling you to be greedy and continue to always have more and never be happy with what you have, right? Obviously, be grateful for where you're at, what you have, right? But what I'm saying is challenge yourself, right? That's all I'm saying. Not again, no, don't be greedy. Don't do anything bad to go after these goals, right? And achieve this stuff, right? Do the stuff that's going to challenge you to become better, right? When you have a goal in mind and you have something that you're shooting for, right? It's going to push you to become a better person, to become better at finances, to become a better athlete, right? It's going to help you continue to grow and develop into a better person. That's the idea behind goals, right? So your goal is to grow and achieve success. But again, as you're doing that, you're growing on your own journey, right? You're becoming a better person in the field of desire that you want, right? That is the idea when it comes to pushing yourself and going after new goals. Again, it's about the challenge, not about being greedy or anything like that, but pushing yourself to new levels to continue to develop and grow. So how can we do this, right? How can we stay hungry and keep ourselves motivated to go after new goals, right? Well, there's a few ideas. One, we already talked about, guys. Continue to set new goals, right? Set higher standards. You know, hey, I made $5,000 a month. This is where I'm at now. Now I can shoot for 10,000. Then I can shoot for 15, 20, right? Whatever it may be, right? Always keep in mind that you can go after these new goals. And again, treat these goals as checkpoints. So that's the first little tip on how you can continue to stay hungry. Another tip is by creating self-generated pressure by doing stuff outside your comfort zone. Now, what does that mean? Well, always challenge yourself to new things, right? Now, this doesn't just mean a higher goal or higher standard, right? What this could mean, guys, is doing something that's going to help you, again, develop a skill set, right? Maybe you hate public speaking, but you volunteer yourself to give a presentation at work or do something that's outside your comfort zone, do a live call, do a video, right? Where you're putting yourself out there to be able to actually start improving your communication skills. Maybe after achieving that income goal, right, instead of just saving money and putting it aside, maybe you learn how to invest, right? Maybe you learn how to invest in the Forex, crypto, stock markets, right? Or real estate, right? Maybe you learn these different skill sets. So you're not just putting money aside, but now you're learning a new skill set that can challenge you to learn something new because yes, there's risk, right? But you understand that the reward can be something even better, right? So the idea is, again, pushing yourself to do something outside your comfort zone. When it comes to fitness, maybe you're in the best shape of your life. You're in your dream body, right? Why not do something to continue that and maintain that or even get better, right? Maybe enter a race or like a bodybuilding show or something that's going to continue to push yourself to continue to maintain that physique or even improve it, right? Again, do something that's going to keep challenging you and continue to help you grow and develop. And one final tip I want to give you guys is always be a student. Continue to learn, guys. Continue to grow. Find different ways to do things that you've already been doing, right? Learn different techniques or also master the basics, right? Do the little things, do the fundamentals, right? Because to become a master, you got to first master the basics, right? So do the little things that are going to help you develop. For example, many wealthy individuals continue to read. Warren Buffett, for example, he reads every single day. The average CEO reads about 60 books a year, right? They continue to grow. They continue to read different books that are going to help them stay on top of it and continue to become the best version of themselves. Or think about professional athletes. They continue to stretch each time before they go in and start doing a workout, right? They work on the fundamentals, right? Think about basketball players. They work on their dribbling, right? They work on their techniques, right? They work on form shooting, right? They continue to master the basics so they can continue to perform at a high level. So when it comes to your life and your goals, right? Continue to follow your budget, continue to follow your investment technique, right? Continue to do the little things and freshen up on it to continue to grow as a student. This will help you master the basics, master the fundamentals, right? To continue to push yourself and achieve new challenges, right? That's the idea is, again, challenging yourself to become a better version and do whatever it takes to reach the next level. So again, guys, whether you've achieved your goal or not, the idea is to always stay hungry. Always find different ways to push yourself to achieve that goal. And once you have achieved it, don't stop there, right? Continue to push yourself Continue to challenge yourself. Go after new heights. Go after new standards, right? Make yourself become the best version that you can within this lifetime that you got. Remember, guys, be confident enough to know that you can do anything, but humble enough to know that you can always get better. So with that being said, that's what I got for you guys on today's episode. Again, staying hungry even after you've achieved success in this life, right? When you accomplish a goal, guys, don't stop there. Push yourselves to the next level. So thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna leave you guys as I always do. Remember, success isn't just about the money you make or the muscles you build. It's also about the mindset you develop along the way. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Money Muscle Mindset.